Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan this weekend. Hope you're having an amazing Saturday. Thank you for tuning in with us. You know, the housing market's heating up. It is that time in summer, and all the news says feds are leaving the interest rates unchanged. Not news. Not really news anymore, is it? We call them too late, pal. Of course, that's what President Trump talks about. But isn't that the housing market? Isn't there a sign of affordability? Isn't that needed in today's market? I think that is the case. Number one problem across East Tennessee home sales is affordability. Interest rates are at an all-time high, closer to 7%. Although this week we've seen some movement, and they've inched down just a hair. And so we're seeing some applications pick up. Listings, sales in our office, we've been extremely busy working on several deals this weekend coming into it. So the market's here. Whether the rates are where we want, whether whatever happens in the market, people are buying or selling. We have to get it done. Kiddos going back to school, a lot of opportunities. Had a great couple from Colorado come in yesterday and looked at a great property we had in Sequoia Hills, and they're going to show another property. So people are coming in. It's go time, as we would say. And it's a great opportunity to spend time with the family. It is that time. It's hard to believe the kiddos are out, but it seems like June is flying by. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like it would be summer will be over in a blink of an eye, and that's how it seems to go. Isn't it? Time goes quicker than we expect. We've got a great show for you. Before we get into it, we'll tell you a little bit about that show. So as the summer heats up, we know it's peak season, and one of the biggest things you have an opportunity to do is either sell that property yourself or hire a real estate agent. We do this show, been doing almost 8 or 9 years. I've lost track of time, but we do this as an interview process. You know, buying or selling a home, some people do that, once every 5-7 years, maybe a couple times in their lifetime. With that being said, who are you going to choose? Are we going to go with that family member? Are we going to go with that friend? What's best for you? In today's market, most importantly, you need a great team on your side. You need a great agent that can walk you through the wildness of the real estate market, especially if you're selling and purchasing a home in today's market. I was with a great customer the other day, and we've sold their house, actually helping them purchase one, and we just put their home on the market. And great couple came over about 6 o'clock. They said, "Ryan, you want a drink?" I was like, "No." But it was stressful. It was stressful. The conversation we have was, Ryan, selling this, purchasing, we're working from home, doing all this has really got me on edge. And the husband's a sweetheart. And he was like, "My wife is giving me a hard time." I said, "Well, guys, don't kill each other in the process, right? Don't kill each other in the process." But we know that, right? If you bought or sold a home ever, it can be stressful. And so it can be extremely stressful if you hire the wrong agent or have the wrong team helping you in this important transaction. Listen, especially moving across the country, on top of interest rates, and then the market here in East Tennessee being slower than we expect. And we don't see that changing for a while. And of course, there's different pockets across the market. So what are we doing to change the outcome moving forward? Well, we think one of the most important thing is, if you're going to hire an agent, how do you hire and vet your next real estate agent? So that's what we're talking about in the show today. How do you hire and vet your next real estate agents? We're going to talk about red flags in the second half, things you need to watch out for, and just some tips and points that I think will be helpful, whether you hire us or whoever, some of our great colleagues across East Tennessee, things that you need to know moving forward. Again, some of it may be repeat, but again, I have to understand, I do this all the time. Me and my team do this all the time. And going over some of these in today's market, things have changed across the landscape, commissions, how people are doing, whether they're private listings, pocket listings. I mean, there's a lot of things to discover. So I think you'll enjoy this show, and I hope you will. And thank you for tuning in, as always. Before we get going, we've got some new listings, got some congrats, and we're staying busy. So that's always a good thing here in the summer. Our team is working hard, and we've got a new listing over here on 1121 Hollyberry Court in Sevierville. Beautiful condo out there that's going to hit the market. Make sure you check that property out in Sevierville, mountain views. And then, of course, we got 118 Oakland Lane in Sweetwater. Beautiful property. Just had a conversation about that. Only one in this neighborhood. There's not much for sale out in Sweetwater. $479,950. Great property, beautiful kitchen. almost over an acre. The perfect thing about this property, it's got a opportunity for that. They've got a fifth wheel or a motorhome, and it's all got the hookups there, so perfect for that. New listings coming out there. We got something in South Knoxville. Can't release the address yet, but keep an eye on that. This will be a property that you want to look forward. And congrats on some new listings. West Knoxville, new listing coming right down the street. And then, of course, Misty Point Way, 7726 Misty Point Way, going under contract. And then we found them another home. So super excited to make that happen. And then 5908 Bernie Circle in Talbot. Congrats on that purchase. 174 West Meeting Street, great builder that we had out there, putting that under contract along with another lot in Dandridge. So things are moving. Interest rates are staying stagnant. How do we navigate this real estate market, Ryan? Where do we start? I think one of the biggest things that we face on a routine basis, the real estate market's competitive landscape. And so we used to have about 5,000 or 6,000 agents in the Knoxville market. I'm not sure what that number is now. I saw an article that wasn't too long ago that agents were leaving the business in a larger amount. Combination costs, combination markets, things like that. So moving forward, before hiring a real estate agent, I want to do some of these tips and we'll kind of dive into the show. So you can always, and it's always a good opportunity to talk to family and friends for recommendations. That being said, it's not your only gauge. What may have worked for them on one market at a different time may not work now. So always talk to family and friends, I would say, was a good opportunity. Of course, you guys listen to this show, so it's always a recommendation that you have an opportunity to see what we do and kind of get a little behind the scenes, If you like to hear my blabbing a little bit, my rumbling on, my wife has to deal with that at the house, but, we try to have fun with it, man. All right, we got one of the most amazing teams we have in East Tennessee that really take pride in helping our buyers and sellers, across the country. We know it's one of the biggest moves that you can have, and selecting agents not an easy choice. So we're always honored to be selected and help you in such a big process. So we don't take it for light. Hey, if you listen in just for the first time, you always catch us every Saturday on the radio, News Talk 98.7. We're at 1 o'clock there, and then Talk Radio 92.3 FM at 11. Of course, streaming Facebook Live there on their channel, along with all the social media channels. You can catch us in case you miss it for a replay. When we're getting with agents, make sure you don't just talk to one. Maybe you've got a listing down the street. Hey, they sold that house. Maybe we'll just talk to one person. We always recommend getting 2 or 3, and that's so important. And you want to look at their expertise. You want to look at their marketing and look at their strategy. That's one of the biggest things that we face in today's market was, when the market's hot, everything's moving. And it doesn't take a whole lot of, marketing when we're having 37 offers on one property, right? The market, it's a supply and demand market. Always talk about that. In today's market, the market is worth what a buyer and a seller are willing to pay. And it's so important to really understand that. Our jobs, as a real estate broker as a whole, is we want to bring buyers and sellers together. We want to bring more activity. And if as I told a great seller yesterday, I say, if you're not delegating to me and we're not helping you make this process smoother, we handle the marketing, we handle all the drama behind the scenes, and then we have a successful closing and try to make it as pain-free as possible, right? And we get there, then we're not doing our job. And that's what you're hired, delegation, right? Because anybody can sell a house. It's the question about doing it, netting the most money, right, in today's market. Gaining competition across where we need multiple platforms. Great client that I was talking to yesterday, and I said, listen, you've got a beautiful property. It's not a question whether you can sell it. The question is, can we get the price that we need to get in today's market? And I really think that you're better on a retail approach than a wholesale approach. He said, Ryan, what do you mean? I said, well, we can have the neighbors come through or this person come through, and you can sell it. But in today's market where everything's outrageous and the costs keep going up, a property that you put this kind of money into and everything that you've done, the true market value will be when we open up our marketing and allow people to come see it and compete, right? Competition is where sellers really have a great opportunity in today's market because the true value. Vice versa, if we do that and the market does not respond, then there's changes that need to be made. And that's the importance in today's market of having a great agent on your team. So that team's going to walk you through this process and helping you start to finish. Agents use a lot of different commission fees and structures, and we can go on and on about this. But as we're coming into the break, commissions have changed since August, meaning how things work. So what we used to have in the MLS was not putting commissions. So look, we got a break coming. Stay right with us. Real Estate with Ryan will be right back.
Knoxville and East Tennessee. The region is known for its rolling hills, rivers, and lakes. There's no better place to work, live, or raise a family. Home is where your story begins. Buying or selling your home is a big decision, and you need a real estate team you can trust.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty, your hometown experts. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let us develop a winning game plan for you.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you. All right, we're back at it, Real Estate with Ryan, having a good time. Talking about if you're going to hire an agent in today's market, you need to hire the best. You need to interview, you need to vet. And so we're covering some questions that you need to ask that agent if you're interviewing. First half, we're talking about always get a couple interviews and be careful about hiring that friend, that neighbor. It's always, hey, listen, I get it. In the business, one of our biggest competitions or our objections in today's market is I have a friend in real estate. It is the #1 common objection that we face on a routine basis. How do you handle the friend combination? Everybody and their brother has a real estate license, it seems, especially in West Knoxville. So how do you handle that? Well, I've had a lot of deals with friends. I had a lot of deals with people that I've known. And so sometimes when you have a friend or a family member that's in the business, it can make the toughest deal between the both. #1, the friendship is more important than a deal, right? And then family, oh my God, everybody knows how family is. And sometimes when it comes into real estate and family, there's that line. So I'm just a firm believer that if you're going to do business on one of the most important moves you're going to make, whether it's buying, selling, land, investment, maybe doing a 1031 on a commercial, you can't afford to have a friend or a family member involved, because when everything goes good, it's easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. I ain't said that in a while, but it's easy, right? You got an opportunity that smooth, but what happens when all hell breaks loose? Hope I can say that. Hope I don't get in trouble. But what are you going to do when it breaks loose? That's where the drama comes in. That's why hiring a friend or family member is tough. It's tough. Think about that, because the relationship, the family, the friend always needs to be there. And ultimately, if you got a good family member or friend, they're going to want what's best for you. Hire the best, get the best team for you. That way, if you say, Ryan, good, buddy, we're kicking you down the road. I said, well, I understand, right? But that relationship is not tampered, and you can move forward. So I understand that. Communication to list a property or to sell a property is the #1 thing our team, our group, we try to focus on. When a market's hot, as I was talking in the first half, communication is very limited, right? It's on the market, it's sold, we're moving, you're the greatest. We're sitting on the market longer. Ryan, what's going on? What can we do? The communication has to be picked up. One of the biggest things we do on our group is a monthly market report. And I don't think many people understand the time and effort that we spend to keep our sellers up to date with what we're doing, where we're getting views from, where we're getting people from out of state, what the comments were, because communication is key. The longer that we're on the market, that we're in a market that is not as hot as we've seen in years past, is communication that when your agent's working, what we're doing, and most importantly, making adjustments when needed. If we get a lot of different feedback that, the home, smells like dog, or, overall we just had a feedback that What was the feedback? The one bathroom really just kind of hurt us. Let's say the home has a 4-bedroom, 1 bath, and we just keep getting over that hurdle. Maybe we need to go back and look at pricing because the 1 bathroom wasn't really calculated on the front end. The market did not respond to that, so pricing needs to bring more buyers in. So understand that. Understand when you're hiring an agent that you have contacts that if you're purchasing, like you're self-employed, different types of loans, that you have the best access to lenders in the area. One of the most frustrating processes is not only do I got to hire an agent, but then I've got to deal with a lender. And some of these big bank lenders, you can't even get them on the phone. They're on an 800 number. You can't get them to return phone calls. So not only the stress of selling your home, but dealing with the loan and the process and then the closing. Then we get to the title, if it's in the state and all those things. So I think one of the most important things that are overlooked is the connection of a great real estate agent in today's market. Do they have the connections for you? Do we have the handyman? We've got a construction team that is employed by us. So if you need things done, we just took care of a great client in Maryville. They needed something, came up on the inspection item, something on the appraisal. We took care of it. Do you have those concierge services that are needed? Do you have the great inspectors, moving companies, etc., that can help save money along the process? Understanding that's important. Check their Better Business Bureau rating. It's so important. We're A+. We're proud of that. And it's so important that you're checking those out for reviews, conversations moving forward. I think knowing their style, knowing their agent's style. I was teaching my daughter about styles. So if you're in sales, you would understand that there's several types of sales. Won't get into all those now, but there's different personality. There's the engineer, there's the artist, and then there's the get it done kind of person. So, there's a lot of different personalities out there. You want to pick somebody that understands your style, but not necessarily is your exact style. If me and my wife were the same style, I'd be in trouble. So sometimes that good saying that opposites attract is a positive. And on a large transaction like this, you need somebody that's a great communicator, somebody that can handle multiple personalities, right? So in our field, we deal with, routinely, agents, inspectors, buyers, lenders, and all kinds of things that we're dealing with on the front end that could affect your sale. Being a strong communicator on the front end and being able to work out deals and handle those multiple personalities is a must. I hate to say it, that if you're not a people person or you're not able to handle people, you may be a great agent, but you're not going to get deals done because you have to be an effective communicator to start. Some of the things I think moving forward when you're looking for an agent, going over marketing is a big deal, considering their expertise. And I think, sometimes they say, well, Ryan, I'm going to go with a larger firm. Don't necessarily make that because they have more agents that they'll have better marketing. Sometimes larger firms spread out their marketing amongst a lot of different agents. We've got a firm in town that's got hundreds of agents. It doesn't mean that the marketing is even comparable to what we do. So sometimes your smaller companies, boutique, independent brokerages, are more involved in the community, have more access, and have a larger budget for your marketing. I know that's what we do specifically. So those are things to think of. I know it's easy to say, hey, well, we got the big name, but that's exactly why we are not a larger company. We used to own big Fortune 500 companies. And understanding that in today's marketplace, when you're hiring an agent, it never is the company that's going to sell the property. It's never. It's just not the case. It's going to be the agent that you hire that goes to work to get the job done. Now, the company has a lot to do with it, of being involved and support staff and a great team, but it's going to be the agent that you hire that makes a big difference. Questions to ask moving forward, asking about the experience that this agent that you're interviewing has in your area. How about your type of property? We deal with a lot of high-end property. It's a certain niche, certain buyer, certain clientele, very, very picky, very, very demanding. How are you attracting these buyers across the country or locally? Do you have something specific? If you're selling a certain product, $2 or $3 million property, do they have any $2 or $3 million properties? If they don't, the odds are they may not be dealing in your price range that can find that buyer, right? Ask them, are you working buyers or sellers? That's an important aspect to ask. Or do you work with renters? All these things are very, very important. Ask about transactions across the board. You know, I don't know the exact number, but we're probably approaching about 100 a year on average. We're up, we're down. Don't hold me to the exact number, but a very high volume. You could pull our listings. We're 65, 70 listings, something like that. Pretty large amount here in the Knoxville housing market. But most importantly, that has something to do with our resume and what we're doing. But most importantly, does our marketing match what you're looking for? And then that personality to get the job done. That's always so important. Talk about a point of contact. A lot of teams and groups in the area have teams. So where you work for an agent and then they have multiple teams members. So you're not actually working with that individual agent. You're working with one of the team members. So if you're going to get passed off or delegated to another person, you need to know that on the front end. What happens if you go out of town on vacation? Listen, we're all human. We all have to have vacation. I've got kiddos. What's that process? Who do you have helping you throughout that? Be careful for these companies in town that offer, we're going to buy the house. I think you've all seen them, billboards. We've got the buyers, all that kind of stuff. That old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. I could tell you all kinds of stories that we could go on for days, but those sometimes are not the right move for you. Moving forward, hire an agent moving forward that, the commissions have changed, meaning commission is now not offered in the MLS. How is your agent going to approach and attract multiple agents? Let's say you're not going with our company, but Susie down the street is helping you. Are you cooperating with agents? All these things have come into a big impact when you're hiring an agent. I hope this has helped you when you're hiring an agent to today's housing market. We always be honored to help you. And as always, we appreciate you listening to the show. Hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you back next weekend. Take care.